During Dr. Najibullah's rule, a military unit of women was formed within the Women's Institute, mostly to encourage soldiers to go to war. However, its formation was not even supported by supporters of the government and members of the ruling party. In order to attract more women to work, kindergartens were built in every office and every place, and women were employed in various fields, and some of them were even hired to drive city electric buses. Child and mother support institutions and family guidance were once again in focus, and all party leaders attended their festivities with their daughters and wives. A number of women became members of parliament, and a large number of women became heads of departments. Women were more present in the community at that time and ever before, and the issue of all attention at that time was the weight of senior government officials who worked as heads of the orphanage, head of kindergarten, and teachers and schools principals. After 1992, when the Mujahideen came to power, many of these developments were destroyed. At the time of Burhanuddin Rabbani, a decree was issued imposing restrictions on women working and studying together with men. The demolition of a number of educational institutions caused a number of girls and women to be deprived of education and work. The jihadi leaders didn't have a goal or plan to save women and improve the situation of women, and they didn't want to emerge in the political and national arena. At that time, women were on the margin and could only work as teachers, doctors, nurses, and the other jobs that were far from political and important issues. The situation of Afghan women during the Taliban government. The period from 1996 to 2001 marked one of the darkest chapters in the history of Afghan women and girls, as the Taliban rose to power and implemented a brutal regime that severely curtailed their rights and freedom. The Taliban enforced a strict interpretation of Islamic law that effectively banned women from participating in public life, including attending a school or working outside the home. This had a devastating impact on the lives of Afghan women, who had previously enjoyed great freedom and autonomy under the previous government. One of the most alarming features of the Taliban regime was their systematic use of violence against women and girls. The group imposed harsh punishment on those who violate their strict moral code, including public floggings and executions. Women were particularly vulnerable to this violence, as they were subjected to the strictest codes and could be punished for even minor infractions such as failing to cover their faces in public. The Taliban also engaged in widespread sexual violence, including rape and forced marriage, as a means of asserting their power and control over women's bodies. Education was another area where the Taliban's policies had a particularly demanding impact on women and girls. Girls were barred from attending school altogether, and women were not allowed to teach or receive an education beyond basic literacy. This affected the closed off awareness from women to pursue careers or participated in public life further reinforcing their subordinate status in Afghan society. Despite the significant challenge faced by Afghan women and girls during this period, many continue to resist and fight for their rights. Women-led underground schools were established to provide education for girls, and women formed grassroots organizations to advocate their rights and challenge the Taliban's oppressive regime. However, the risks associated with such activism were high, and many women faced severe punishment or even death for speaking out against the Taliban's violence and oppression.